Namo Amida Butsu. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you are, in whichever realms of existence you are, whatever mind states you're in, whatever conditions you're in, you are most certainly welcome to my channel and to listen to me discussing my experience of being an Orthodox Jodo Shinshu follower. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful, as I say. And today I wanted to talk about what joy, relief, and how fantastic it is to finally have all of my categories of questions, doubts, and blockages of faith kind of on the table. These sort of 5 or 6 category areas. I don't have just 5 or 6 questions. I mean categories of questions, groupings of questions on the table now. With someone discussing them. I've been discussing and I'm going to continue discussing these with a person of Shinjin that Aiken Kobai Sensei has referred me to because he's an English speaker living in Japan and is one of Aiken Kobai's students. And when I reached out to help last year to Aiken Kobai Sensei, he referred me to Kyokan, and been discussing them with him, and it's just such, I can't even tell you, I've never done that before. I've never really gotten all the questions really on the table, or at least to this extent. I never even had them on the table, barely, before. I'm realizing now, even though I did ask many questions in the past with different teachers and different sanghas, never truly did it the way I'm doing it now. I never truly got everything on the table. I never truly was ruthless about it. Hello. I never truly, sorry about that little pause to greet some non-humans that were on the path, and some humans that they were with. Anyway, so I've just never took the risk to really ask the questions that I'm asking now. I never had a level of trust because of my own distrusting tendencies to put them all on the table. I never could be bothered prior to this as much as I am now. I was to a further extent in 2020 into 2021 more bothered than I had been previously, but not to this extent that I am now motivated. I've never been so strongly motivated to really get it all on the table, no matter what. Even if my ass falls off, I'm going to ask all my questions, raise all my doubts, and discuss all my barriers or blockages to faith. And that's within me. There's no barrier or blockage to Amida's light. It's always shining. It goes everywhere, is everywhere. His compassion is everywhere. His mind is everywhere. It's just, obviously, that's the purpose of deep listening, to discuss all your questions, your doubts, and the blockages that keep you from being receptive or open to that light, that keep you from opening the windows and opening the curtains, that keep you from putting your laundry on the line to dry, because it's not just, you got to put the laundry out in the sun and on the line to dry in the light and heat of the sun. So it's deep listening is there to open you. You know, it's a way that Amida opens us to the Dharma, opens us to his light, opens us to faith. Anyway, so I've just never gotten past, like I said, my own distrust, my own lack of motivation. When I say that, I've been highly motivated in the past, but not enough to persevere and really ask these questions, to really flesh them out and really say, this is what my questions are, and keep going and not be not falsely satisfy myself with the answer or the response that I might have gotten, but taking it further. Anyway, I just have never gotten to that point, and probably the karmic causes weren't there. The karmic causes that bring us together, the student and the teacher together, were probably not of they were what they were for me to be able to do what I did, to be able to do what I had done so far, and I take full responsibility for my lack of doing, going further with deep listening, going further with discussing and exploring my questions and doubts and barriers and issues and issues of faith. I'm not talking about my personal issues or anything. I'm talking about things that are a block. I've never, and I take responsibility for not having done that previously, but it's just so good to finally have it out there. The bulk of it, the bulk of the questions are now finally on all the cards are on the table now, to really discuss them now, and that basically got to that point in about 6 months' time, with working with Kyokan, with back and forth via Messenger, Facebook Messenger, correspondence, me asking my questions, and it was a barrage of questions I gave him right from the start, and then eventually, after December, we started doing Zoom sessions, which would last anywhere from an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half sometimes. And I post some of those discussions. I edit them for parts that don't really need to be, for one reason or another. I think, it could be shortened. And so I edit the videos so they're not all, an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and a half. But that's how long the sessions typically go. And in that time, through this about 6 months, I would say, working with him, I've been able to get everything on the table, and I just have never done that before. Never gotten to that point where I was willing to take the risk to really discuss it all, and really strongly motivated to, no matter what, discuss it all. It's what a difference. And so after this last session, when I realized that I had really had everything on the table for the first time in the past 15 years being on this path. It was such a relief. It was such a relief, such a, because, I have had these, these sets of questions I have had with me all that time, pretty much all that time, and never really discussed them fully. So there was just that sense of relief. And then there was also a sense of joy, really, a joy that I was finally, they're finally on the table. They're finally out there. They're finally, and they're being discussed, and they'll continue to be discussed. But at least they're on the table. And and finally, another sense that kind of came to me is a sense that it may actually be possible for me to someday, for some, at some point, for my doubts and my questions and my blockages to be resolved by Amida. I actually, for the first time, genuinely kind of feel that way. That's a possibility, and that I will, eventually receive, that I will actually be able to receive Shinjin, or be enabled to receive Shinjin. That was a sense that came strongly after this, this 6 months in this last, Dharma session, Dharma talk session, that Dharma discussion that I just had this past weekend. And it's not any kind of special state of mind or anything like that. It's not any special mind state or anything that I've achieved through self-power or anything like that. But it just was a sense of, okay, finally, I'm getting down to it, and finally I feel a sense of possibility that I may actually be enabled to have my doubts and questions and barriers and blockages resolved through Amida's power, through the process that he provided of deep listening for that purpose. So just really, it's just like I'm on a different footing now with it all. I'm on a different footing. And it's also I feel this is another sense that came strongly, that I'm on a different footing, and this has kind of been building for a while, actually, this part of it. But it really, after, like I said, this weekend, it really just fell into place, kind of thing. A sense that no matter what happens, that it doesn't really matter what Sangha I end up with or what teacher I have in the future, that I will be on this path, and I will, and Amida will help me to receive Shinjin. Amida will enable me to receive Shinjin. Whatever, and like I said, whatever Sangha I end up with, whatever teacher I end up with, that will be the case. Whereas before, it felt, I really, and I still hope, and I hope that Sangha is the Amida Ji Sangha someday. I hope I can re-enter that Sangha, and I hope that someday my teacher again will be Josho Adrian Kurlia. But if that is not to be, if that's not, then I feel a possibility that I will at least find another way, another Sangha, another way to do this. Whereas before I felt like it had to be Amida Ji, it had to be with Josho Sensei. That is what I truly want. That is what I deeply and truly do wish for. But if it's not to be, then I will there will be another way. So that's another sense of confidence that I have, and another sense of trust I have that Amida will provide the way. Will provide. There will be a path. There will be a way for me to have a sangha and have a to have that. There will be a way. So I guess that's a kind of trust or faith that I have. Not Shinjin, obviously Shinjin level faith. I'm just talking about I have faith that it'll be okay. It's going to be, if I stay on this path and keep doing what I'm doing, and keep deep listening, keep working with a good teacher. Right now I'm working with Aiken Kobai, but when I say working with a teacher in the future, I mean one that I can actually have like discussions with, in English on a sort of regular basis, and that sort of thing. Whereas that's not really possible with Kobai Sensei. I mean, unless we had an interpreter type of thing, which I could do that actually through Kyokan now that I think about it. But Aiken Kobai is is a very busy man, and it's just not a situation that I could have on a regular one-to-one type basis, but even that, even my condition, even those things, even whatever the conditions are, whatever way I am connected with a sangha and a teacher, it will be sufficient. As long as I'm doing what the Dharma masters taught to do, Master Shinrin and Master Renyo. As long as I am doing as they taught, it will work out. I mean, this is the Dharmagate of the ultimate Buddha. Like, it's kind of in the, it's kind of assumed he can sort things out. Things will be sorted out for you. So overall, that's just the sense I have now. Just a sense of relief, joy, confidence, not confidence in myself, confidence in the path, confidence in Amida, confidence in the process of deep listening. Now that I've got all the cards on the table, all the groupings of questions, doubts, blockages, issues on the table, making good on my decision to go all in with Amida. All the cards on the table, all the chips are down. Now we just need, all the chips are on the table, so now it's just a matter of continuing to listen deeply and talk about those questions and doubts. Continue to talk about those questions and doubts. I already have been. But boy, oh boy, what a difference. What a difference this has made. And this is probably the first time I've really been properly listening deeply. I think I had to go through all those, experiences to get to a point where I was motivated enough to do it, to really discuss it all, to really trust somebody enough, and to risk really discussing it all. All those things. I think I had to go through those, all that back and forth. In my time on this path has been one of from the moment that I first cried out to Amida, when I went down, literally down on my knees into Gasho, and then flat on my face with my forehead on the floor at the feet of Amida, crying out to him to help me in the mid-noughties, the mid-2000s. From that moment till now, I've been back and forth with the Dharma, back and forth with it, somewhat partially working with a teacher in Paul Roberts, back and forth, somewhat asking some questions, not really following through with it and really taking all the way, and then at times convincing myself to, 2 or 3 times while during the years of working with Paul Roberts and the True Shin Buddhism Thanga, convincing myself I had Shinjin when I didn't for short periods of time, and then back and forth again with it, frustrations, not ever really engaging fully in the process of deep listening, not ever really emptying my cup, not ever really, properly working with a good teacher. And then with my time at, I was motivated more by the time I got to, it got to be the 2000s, 2019, 2000 events in the world really motivated me, made me realize, okay, I don't really have time to mess about. So let's get on with it, and joined Amida G and really plunged in. And, I was sincerely, all my time in Amida G was very sincere period. I was sincerely enthusiastic and was sincere in all that I was doing and saying and asking, and all the videos I made during that time period on a different channel, and all those things were, it was very sincere. And at some point in that year, I convinced myself I had Shinjin again, and it lasted for quite a while, and I really, really believed I had it. And anyway, so going through all that, and then, getting to, and then realizing I didn't have Shinjin last year, after that period, however long it was, several months, where I convinced myself I had Shinjin, or whatever it was, however long it was, and then realizing I didn't, crashing, the realization just crashing down on me, and in my frustration and just disillusionment and just anger, I left Amida G in a very, and as I've said before, disrespectful, disruptive, and dishonorable way, which I deeply regret. I wasn't disruptive on purpose. I didn't do any of that on purpose. It wasn't anything I had planned. It was just literally, I realized what I had done to myself again for so long. And that's how I reacted and left. But I think I had to go through all that just to realize, just to become as motivated as I am now to actually do the things that you're supposed to do, on this path. The things that Amida, the things that Amida has given us through Shakyamuni to do, in working with a good teacher, listening deeply, entrusting as best you can, wishing to go to his land and saying his name, saying Nambutsu, and listening to the Dharma, just in the sense of discussing your doubts and questions and blockages, and also reading the Dharma and literally listening to it, recorded, versions of it, and And finally, I had to go through all that. It seems like, to me, I'm speculating here, that it seems like I had to go through all that to be motivated now to do it, to actually properly do it for the first time. I just wasn't able to before now. I just wasn't able to. And I wish, I wish I could have done this back then when I first cried out to Amida. I wish I could have. I wish I could have from then on. And my path might have been very different, but that's not apparently how my karmic causes and conditions are and have gone. That's apparently not what was in the cards. Well, not cards. We don't believe in the cards. It's karma, that was not what was, it couldn't be. I couldn't act as I wish, as we often say in Jodo Shinshu. We can't, as the Dharma masters say in the teachings, we cannot act as we wish, as good teachers of the Dharma will say. We cannot act as we wish, as foolish, ordinary, spiritual idiots. We cannot act as we wish. And so I didn't. I didn't even know how to get even past myself to be able to listen, to really be able to listen deeply with my whole being, listen intently with my whole being, as Renyo Shonin instructs. I didn't even know how to even, I didn't even know what that meant, I suppose. And I couldn't imagine being able to even do that. Not that it's any kind of self-power or there's any kind of special requirements or anything like that for it. But I just wasn't there yet, unfortunately, and I am now, very fortunately. I am very grateful for that I am at this point now with the process and actually finally, truly, deeply doing it. And that I can finally feel a sense of, yes, I am actually on this path, and yes, I have confidence in the path, and confidence that I will, that Amida will one day resolve all my questions, doubts, issues, Dharma issues, that is, blockages, barriers. Amida will smash them all, or wear them all down, like the water will wear them all down. And that that it's possible for me to have Shinjin, to receive Shinjin. I believe, to be I just have never had that sense that that was a possibility before, genuinely. So, yeah, I think that pretty much covers it all for today. So thank you very much for listening on this very windy day. I hope windy but lovely sunny day here on in the Saha galaxy on planet Jambudvipa. Thanks for listening, and take care. Namo Amida Butsu.